Hit it, Logan.
It's X After Hours Podcast with Mariah and Ty.
Your weekly download of X92.9's X Afternoons extracurricular activities. Enjoy.
This week on X After Hours.
He was a stockbroker. He had a few more dollars than I did as a pastry cook at that time, you know?
I mean, like, if you ever need a very professional, unqualified taste tester, sign me up, man. Like,
My girlfriend is now shouting at me, like when she's baking her brownies, like, put it in the blast chiller, which is just outside on the patios here in Calgary.
Walking like a duck or a penguin like the kids do now.
All right, we have a very special guest this week, our second take of this from Holiday Baking Championship Season 10. He is a SAIT chef pastry instructor, Kevin Conniff. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
This is huge that you have obviously come to our much lower budget set than the Food
this is
Network.
cool. It's just like the Food Network.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever have to do retakes?
Oh, tons of retakes. There's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I'm so excited about the show, so excited about, you know, life in general, being a pastry chef at SAIT in Calgary, and the food scene here is just awesome. So it was pretty cool to showcase what Calgary has to offer.
Well, the reason we found about the show was because during the holiday break, me and my girlfriend had a lot of time. We ordered Discovery Plus.
Oh, yeah.
So we could watch.
Did you get the free
No.
subscription?
Oh,
you went all in? Okay.
I paid to watch Darcy and Stacy, this very trashy reality show.
Okay.
But then we saw the Holiday Baking Championship on there, and we're watching it, and this guy comes on, he says, I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
"Oh,
and I'm
man."
like, what the heck? And my girlfriend who went to SAIT was like, that's SAIT. That's where that is. That's where that guy's from. And I'm like, what? And I'm watching the show. There's no other Canadians coming on.
No.
So I'm rooting for you the entire time. You get right down to the finals.
Yeah.
And I thought you could have won the whole thing. They loved your cake at the end.
They did. Yeah, I mean, it was, the flavors were there. Everything was there. Historically, they always do a two-tiered cake. I watched a little bit of it in advance, so I kind of knew what the final was going to be. And then it just comes down to time. I think that one was 5 hours. I think we had to do something like that, whatever they said on there.
Wow.
And I mean, in my life in the future or previously, you make your cake, you make your buttercreams and your garnishes and stuff, and then the next day you assemble. So it's over, if it's fast, like 12 hours, 15 hours. Wow. And they give you 5. So I think that cake was still kind of warm as I was putting it together. I'm like, oh man, is this going to hold? Is this like, it's a Hail Mary the whole way, pretty much.
See, I think that's what people don't understand, because we're watching, obviously, like any, challenge competition for the Food Network, that it's this fast-tracked, we get an hour of the nitty-gritty process that you guys are doing, and I don't think people understand, like, it is a stressful show.
They put
to
you
be on.
under the gun.
It is.
Sure.
Yeah, and they really test all of your skills. So that one was 8 episodes, and every episode there was something different, a different skill set. Boom, can you do this, can you do that? Some of the other ones are like, they're more focused. You come in and make a cookie, come in and make a fancy cake. You know kind of what you're doing. Whereas, I mean, this is pretty much live TV. The host comes out and he says, you're going to make, ta-da. I'm going, oh, man. So you got minutes to think about it and try your best. And, I mean, my goal there was, one, getting on the show. And then the other one was, I don't want to be the first one out. Don't embarrass yourself here. This is national TV, and all of Calgary might be watching, or all the foodie, all my friends. I'm like, this is either going to be sink or swim. So, once I got there, I mean, it was weird. I told some other people that there was a weird sense of calm. I was going like, okay. I'm looking around. I'm eyeing up the competition. I'm like 11 people looking around, So thinking, you don't have to be the best. You have to not be the worst. You don't want to get sent home. So if you're in the middle of the pack, I mean, there's a guy in there, Sherrod, super talented guy. He's right in the middle the whole time. He wasn't kind of winning or losing. He was just getting by. And I was like, it's a good strategy. It's like, you don't have to go for it all,
Yeah.
I also will say we are drinking red wine. It's one you like a red wine. Correct?
I do.
You are not drinking a red wine.
I am not drinking a red wine. If my wife Melissa's listening, I am not.
You're doing the dry January. What kind of red wine is this, Mariah? We forgot to highlight it.
It's just Costco Select.
Wonderful. We got Kev a nice French vanilla.
I got a French vanilla coffee. One of my favorites.
No, we usually would drink. I'm impressed. Like, just to backtrack, that you're doing the dry January. You said you guys are doing a little vacation after this.
Yeah,
you probably deserve it after doing a non-traditional like work year, you know? Like I feel like I have so many questions to ask you,
Sure.
but I just wanted to start from the beginning because you are a pastry chef by trade.
That's right.
At SAIT, but
That's
you
right.
grew up in the U.S. Like that's what's so crazy. I
New
don't
York,
think
right?
I don't think people know that you have dual citizenship. So maybe everybody thought you were the shy Canadian guy coming in, and you said,
No, I've got a little flair behind it. So I've got the shy Canadian in me, but also the hustle and the aggressiveness of the New York. It comes and goes. My wife always tells me she knows when I'm talking to my brothers or a couple friends back home because my accent will come on thick and this and that. So I grew up about an hour north of New York City, and my first job was working in a bakery as a dishwasher. And there was two reasons really why I wanted to get a job. One was my mom said, if you want money, you're going to have to go find it. So I was like, okay. And I was, at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, the hottest sneaker out there, it's coming full circle because my 14-year-old loves sneakers, was the white Reebok high top with the orange pump.
The pump,
yeah. Big deal.
Back in the day, it was $143. I still remember this. It was a little while ago.
Costs around the same now.
Yeah. And that was my goal. I was trying to get into this bakery, and my buddy was the dishwasher, and the way he moved out of being the dishwasher, he had to recruit somebody in. So he moved me in. I was the dishwasher, and then the story goes on. And I saved up enough money to buy these sneakers, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I was walking around at like 14, 15 years old, and walking like a duck or a penguin like the kids do now. And I'm like, oh, didn't have a scratch on it, and I thought it was the coolest thing. So I was kind of hooked, and I was working in this bakery. And it was like, I don't know if you guys ever watched The Cake Boss.
Yep.
The Carlos Bakery, stuff like that. It was that, but I think much cooler. And it was a little bit earlier in the day than that. There was no human resource department. There was a bunch of guys in the back who were fooling around, goofing on each other. It was like hanging out in a cool tree fort.
Yeah.
But then we learned this skill. So we were all playing around. Before you know it, I knew how to make bagels and donuts and Napoleons. And I'm going, oh. And it was just easy. And I'm going back to school. I'm sitting there learning about science and this. And I'm going, everything else was like Charlie Brown's teacher to me. But this just came easy. There was two things I wanted to do: either become a baker, or my uncle was a big cop, and I wanted to become a detective. Right?
Wow.
But the problem with that was I'm afraid of my own shadow. So I was like, I wanted to go after the crime was committed and do all the stuff you see on TV. But I'm like, I know I'd never make it out of the academy. So I chose the baking route. My mom used to make tons of pies and cakes at the house. I've got an older and a younger brother. So we were just constantly eating. People were coming and going. We used to have lots of parties, and there was always food around. Food was the currency in New York. So I just got hooked on it and hopped around, got a few good mentors.
You went to Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, so I was working in mostly retail bakeries around New York. Found my way down to New York City, worked in some hotels down there.
Wow.
Trying to get my timeline straight. Around the 9/11, I was there around 9/11. Work dried up. The only opportunity was to get out of the tri-state area, and they placed me out in Hawaii. So I was out in Hawaii and Oahu for a while. Once business came back to New York, went back into New York, and then started moving up the ranks as executive pastry chefs and things. Where else? Worked a little bit in Hawaii, a little bit in Las Vegas, kind of up and down the eastern seaboard a bit. And then my merge into the Food Network in a couple minutes. This guy I know from high school, or earlier than that, 30s. We've been friends 30-something years. I was trying to do the math on the way here. I'm his godparents to his kids and vice versa. And he comes up here he's coming up actually next month. We're going to go skiing.
He's American, yeah.
He's American. My
Okay.
good friend, his name is Danny Tosto. His dad owned a restaurant, and we worked in the restaurants together, and we always, we're great friends to this day. Where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought.
No, that's
No
okay.
worries, man.
You're
We got-
working. Food Network. How you
You eventually land to the Food Network. You were in
Yes.
Hawaii, you went back to
yeah.
New York, and then I think you're about to tell us how you come to Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So I come to Calgary. So he had an apartment in New York City, and we're sitting on the couch, leather couch, and we're watching MTV Spring Break.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember MTV Spring Break?
Yes.
And you got Pauly Shore on there, and you got these other guys, and it's kicking off, and it looks like the foam party. It looks like the party, right? So I look at him, and he looks at me and says, why haven't we ever gone to Spring Break? We're 24, 5, whatever we were.
Wow.
Let's go to Spring Break. And it was live. So we went downstairs to the travel agent, bought the tickets, and in 3 days we were in Mexico on the beach in Mexico, right? He was a stockbroker, made a few more dollars than I did as a pastry cook at that time, you know? And so we're in Mexico. There we are, living like kings and doctors at the Oasis Hotel in Cancun, and we're having a great time, you know, and then come these Canadian girls. We're talking. And lo and behold, we went our way, they went their way, and we started chatting, and you know, one of them is my wife, Melissa. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Spring break.
So that's spring break. Yeah.
Holy.
So yeah,
Kids must love that.
she went to Edmonton. I was in New York. We were kind of moving around through Hawaii and stuff. I kind of forget the timeline. We both moved into New York City. We stayed there for 5-6 years.
Wow.
And then when we just started to have a family and have kids, it was her parents are here, so her whole side is here. My whole side is in New York. And we came up. I got a job. I was first working as the pastry chef at the Delta Lodge in Kananaskis, which is Pomeroy now, I believe.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And then, you know, the trick with being a pastry chef or working in the hospitality tourism, as you know, you work opposite of kind of the general population. You're working nights, weekends, holidays, you know, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So when my firstborn was on the way, I didn't have a plan. I was like, how am I going to stay married? How am I going to pull this off and be able to be a dad, be able to be home, be able to. So the timing was perfect. The timing was absolutely perfect. Where my wife's best friend found the ad for SAIT.
Wow.
And said, hey, they're looking for a pastry chef instructor. And I'm thinking, like, I'm like a C/B student, you know, I'm not like an A student. I'm like, you want me to go up and do a lecture? You want me to stand there and whatever? I'm like, I don't know. I can teach you in the kitchen. If we were in the kitchen, I'd show you how to do stuff. But to throw a lesson plan together and all that stuff, I'm like, I'm not really a teacher. I learned how to become a teacher over years. So I applied, and I was like, you know, my life is full of long shots. And I was like, this is a long shot. There's no way. And they took me on. They hired me, you know, and that was about 16, 17 years ago.
Oh, wow.
SAIT's an awesome, awesome place. They're so supportive. And the crew there is amazing. Before, when I was working as a pastry chef, you're on kind of on an isolated island. You're by yourself. So you're supposed to know everything.
Yeah.
Every cupcake, every this, every that. And now I work with a team of maybe up to 16, 17 pastry chefs. So if I don't know something, the guy standing next to me will, or this one will. We chat, we share information. And someone's always out doing the coolest thing. Like when I went out on the Food Network, I came back, same questions. What is it like? What is it? Telling everybody what it's like. What's like? You know, this one goes off to do a stage with Gordon Ramsay. What's that like? So it's just, we're this huge source of, like, we're not against each other. We're in this together for all of our careers and the students, and just to make everything better, which is so awesome. It's a great place to work.
Well, that's an incredible story of how you met your wife. Like, your kids must love it. Like, finding my parents were out partying in spring break, and that's how we met. I'd love it.
Well, I have to go. My 14-year-old one is like, can we go back to Mexico? Can we go back? I'm like, I could probably still find some of the stuff. It's all different now.
Different type of trip, for sure, with the kids. Sure. But no, you're just incredibly charismatic, and you can tell, like, your success. I think, like, I don't know, I used to work in the restaurant industry, and you have to be a charismatic, outgoing person, and even if you're not, you learn to be, because you're chatting with people of all different walks of life, and you never know who you're gonna meet, right? And for yourself, like, to say that you've had this opportunity to work in New York and you're in the Hawaiian Islands, like, that is just so cool.
Yeah, and it's so cool. I mean, it's fast paced. You know, and hat goes off to all the people that are working in the service and the hospitality industry. It's not easy. You can have an awesome day and then a bad day, and somewhere in between, it's up and down. And when I was doing in the industry, I mean, a lot of the glamour and the lure was like, everybody's got a story. You know, this person is a rock star. This person just got out of prison. This person, whatever. And everybody's like, there's all these stories going on, and it's just like, you're not gonna find that in a bank or an office. Like, it's just crazy. It's that Anthony Bourdain dreamy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me to it. I was like, this is nuts. I could just walk around and do whatever. Like,
you get to be in, like, the underbelly of the nightlife, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you're working with people, I think, too, that it's kind of a lot like our job a bit. You're in a passion project type career where you are ultimately it's very hard work, but you're doing something that you really love. So,
That's right, yeah.
you know what I mean? You kind of have, I know it sounds tacky, but it's the truth. You kind of have this extra fuel to do well in your job because you feel so good about going to work, or
And he's having fun while he's working.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're having a good time.
it's cool opportunities and stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
I
totally.
mean, I could just get lost in we love food, so.
Do you feel like being a SAIT instructor helped you being on the Food Network's Holiday Baking Championship? Because you seemed very well spoken on camera. You seemed like you were calculating every bake before it was about to go down. Like they tell you the challenge, and I could see you like doing the
Thinking
math in
about
your
it.
head.
We're rooting for you. Like, I hate to say this, but we're rooting for you because you seemed the most relatable and the most normal. And I think Twa was the other character.
Oh, yeah.
She's great.
I don't want to say
Awesome.
character, sorry, the other person on the
Yeah,
show
yeah.
who was so good. And I'm like, man, you guys seem like our type of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like-
Oh, that's awesome. I just spoke to her yesterday. I told her. I was
Friends for
doing a
life
podcast.
from that show, you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice.
There's at least 60-70%. We're on a text chain and we're always chit-chatting back and forth.
Cool.
So it's really, really cool. We just did we're trying to do something annual. We went down to Denver and did a whole kind of meet and greet down there. So this November we might do something. I'm trying to bring them up to Calgary. I'm like, you guys want to come to Calgary? Come on up.
I don't
Do
think
all-
people realize the food scene here, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think people know. It's insane. Like, it's so
Yeah,
good.
we will have to ask you some of your favorite spots. But tell us about what you were telling us off the mics for a bit
What was that?
about how you got on the show.
It's X After Hours with Mariah and Ty.
It's like X Afternoons, but in podcast form.
So chatting with Chef Kevin Conniff, you were just on Holiday Baking Championship Season 10. You're a pastry chef at SAIT. You have Sweet Bella Chocolates. We got so much to ask you, but we have to know, how did you get on that show? How
did I
did
get on the show?
this Calgarian get on that?
Okay, so remember my friend Danny that I went to spring break with? So
Yes.
He came up last year. He's going to come in a lot of my stories. And we were out in Golden. He comes up with his family, and we're skiing for a couple of days, and we're the same age, really. We're sitting around the condo in Golden at the little bar in the condo, having a couple scotches, and we're talking about life, right? And we're going, oh, what are you going to do? Got this. We're middle of our career. Let's make a move. Let's pull this Wall Street move that we're dreaming about or whatever. I'm like, come on up. We'll open up a couple pizzerias. We'll do this. No, I can't. He works construction in New York, and he does very well. So we're back and forth, jamming each other. And he says, why don't you go on one of these shows, these reality shows, these cooking shows? You'd be great at it.
This guy, he's
Yeah.
putting you up to so much.
I like it.
eh?
Though. He's
Like-
a pusher. He pushes
He
you to
pushes
do
me.
things.
Yeah. So we've always pushed each other, And I said to him, I remember my words. I'm like, not a chance. That's too pedestrian. I'm not doing that. I said, I'm classically trained. Most of my stuff's classical, modern. This. I said, that's all for TV. So he's, giving me the gears about it, this and that. We're back and forth, and we just put it away. And the phones were there. To this day, I think Siri was listening. So he goes his way, goes back to New York. I come back to Calgary, ski trips over. I go back to SAIT, Kid you not, 2 weeks later, in my inbox, here comes this email. Hey, Kevin, we're casting for the show. Would you be interested in this? And I'm like, he set me up. He sent my name in. He did this, So I didn't say anything to him. So I write a quick response back to the caster, the producer, whatever. I say, yeah, I'm interested. And that just set everything off. Really? Would you come? Yeah. They start giving me all the specs, and I'm going, oh man. So things were happening really, really quick. They do a whole vetting process. They want to see who you are. They want to check your skills. They check your background. Make sure you're not some, renegade.
TikTok wannabe.
Yeah, whatever, right? They want to make sure if you get all the way through, you're going to commit, which is fair, right? And you don't sell yourself as this, and then you're a convicted felon or whatever, right? Whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
So they're very, very careful. So I'm going through this process very quickly, and it's getting. I'm like, oh man, like they might pick me. And at this point, I didn't tell anybody. I kept it quiet because I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. I was like, there's no way my boss is going to let me go. There's no way I'm going to get to the finals. So I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell Danny. Nothing. Yeah. So this goes on for about 2 weeks, and we're getting into, I'm getting close. So I tell my wife, I'm like, yeah. So listen, I might have to go shoot this show. And she's like, what? I was like, well, I didn't think. I thought it was just going to be a story for a dinner party story, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then I told him too. I said, listen, they're calling me for the show. Did you put my name in or anything? He's like, no. I'm like, come on, all right. If it was a joke, And he's like, no, I'm telling you, I didn't. I still think that him and his couple buddies, they're jazzing me up for it, put me in. I don't know how they found me, but they emailed me, and then all the checks and balances, I made the cut, and then it's the person they were looking for. I'll never know if I was the first pick or the 12th pick. You never know if somebody dropped out or if anything. So I don't know what position I was put in,
Yeah.
For sure, they do a fantastic job looking for different skill sets, different characters, and then you have to be able to, kind of leave your organization for an extended period of time in order to do the show. So some people, you could be the best chef out there, but you might have an operation or a business to run. SAIT, was so awesome where I said, I got to disappear for a little while. I can't really tell you what I'm doing. It's going to be awesome. Can you pull me in a sub? Yeah, they were so supportive.
Wow,
and I was able to
nice.
just kind of minimize my chocolate operation, keep it down. It's generally filmed, about a year out, 9 months to a year out. So after the holidays, I'm generally at a quiet time. So it was a perfect timing where I could press pause on the business, and SAIT supported me, brought in a substitute teacher, and I was like, okay, just don't be the first one out. Here we go, Don't embarrass yourself.
You know what? You're so right, though. Like, even from SAIT as a perspective, where how great does it look to speak to how professional their professors are, if you will. They're masters at their craft, and they have you being affiliated with the Food Network.
Yeah.
You got sought out, and then
making it to the finals.
Yeah,
The
you
finals,
have this
yeah.
crazy opportunity, and how inspiring is that for your students?
Well, that's
right?
the thing, is most of them are coming to SAIT now based off the first question, why are you here? I saw this on TV. I saw
wow.
Gordon Ramsay. I saw this is my favorite food show, and fill in the blanks. When I first started there, years ago, that was second. The first thing was my mom and dad inspired me, or it was like I grew up in, Africa, and my parents cooked like this. Now I want to learn how to do it.
Yes.
So it was like mom, dad, or their culture, and then it was the popularity of the food shows. But now, I mean, we were chatting before, I don't know how many Christmas or holiday food shows. I would guess there was a good 10 on between Netflix, Food Network, this one, that one, and there'll be the same for spring and summer and Halloween, and so they're out there, they're popular.
Oh yeah,
right, and they get a huge viewership.
Of course.
So that's what the students are. You watch that, or you watch some other trade show or whatever you're into, and maybe that kind of becomes your career if that's what you're interested in.
It's got to be like one of the most popular shows, like the holiday one.
I think
sure.
so.
What is it like a day in the life being on that show, Kevin?
It's
Like,
busy. It's a full
what
day.
you can say.
Yeah,
what I
because
can
we
say.
know. I know we don't want to
Yeah.
give the trade secrets. We've
No,
been
I
warned,
can't.
So
I got a small little NDA signed, so I can't give away too much. It's busy. Like, you think it's not, but I mean, you're up early. Like, this was filmed not in the heavy COVID area, but it was definitely COVID protocol. So that was my second fear, going, oh man, if I get popped for COVID, they tell you you're going home because there's a whole crew, there's a set, there's this, that. They'll send you home and, I don't know, make some story about it. But so that was, you woke up and you had to make sure you didn't have COVID. So you got tested COVID maybe 2 to 3 times a day. And then, you went off the set. There was a whole thing, if you've done any TV stuff, there's makeup and there's wardrobe and there's this and there's that and there's all this stuff. And then you kind of hurry up and wait and hurry up and wait and hurry up and wait, and then it's go time, and
You got to bake.
and then you got to go. Like, they just tell you what it is, and you're like, oh my god, macaroons. Okay, let me think about that for a second.
we
and
just
go.
watched that
Yeah,
episode.
you watched the macaroon
before
one?
you
Yeah.
came, and I was stressing because
Yeah.
and that's a thing that I feel like I have to ask as a pastry chef.
Yeah.
I feel like in the world of professional chefs, pastry is a discipline that a lot of
Yeah.
people can't master because it is very difficult. And for them to go, hey, one day you're making this tart
Yeah.
to this, and you pull that information
yeah,
out of your back
how
pocket,
you just did
man.
a cannoli
Yeah.
from the top of your head.
It's just you just
Well, that
know.
was from my days I mentioned about the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I learned how to make a cannoli. I think I said it on there. I haven't made it in 30 years or so.
But
what was it? The latke. We walked into the room that day, and the guy Jesse's cooking something. She's cooking something. I'm going, okay, what are they? There's always this little. You try to figure out. It's like playing charades. She was like, a latke, and I'm like, what's a latke? I don't know what a latke is.
Oof.
And then they're like, oh, it's something fried, and they tell a story. It's about the oil, and I think it's based off the Jewish religion or something. I'm like, okay, I'm Catholic. I don't know. So I'm trying to pay attention, trying to like think about this real quick.
It's
and
like a cultural dish.
Yeah, you
it's
have to come
like-
up with something on the spot.
Yeah,
right
like
there,
you gotta have
camera's
it fried,
live.
you gotta have it this, and then the colors. I'm going, okay, something fried, something this, something that. It's like, okay, well, fry a cannoli. And then you gotta think about, okay, it's gotta be quick. I think that one was 90 minutes, so I'm like, I can't do something that's a 2-day job. You got 90 minutes, period.
Yeah.
And then the other calculations I was looking at is, okay, you got 3 judges. Duff is classically trained, kind of like me. We actually went to the same school together. He's from Baltimore. And so he's about 6 months to a year ahead of me in school. So I'm like, he's going to jam me on anything that's not perfect. One likes booze. One doesn't like booze. Okay, so you got to get like 2 out of 3 here for the judges. So you got to get the judges on your side. You got to not screw up. And you got to be better than the weakest link. So you're looking around the room and you're watching the clock. And he's throwing dad jokes at you, and you're like, okay.
Yeah,
you know?
the host who's coming in jabbing
yeah,
you,
so he's
right?
chatty Cathy over there, and but Jesse Palmer, he's a good guy. We chatted a little bit here and there. Like he was when my wife and I were in New York City. He was the 3rd string quarterback for the
because he's
the Giants.
Yeah.
Just incredible connections. I imagine.
Like he's Canadian too, right?
Yeah, he
It's
does.
like-
Yeah, he's got dual citizenship as well. So we were chatting about that. I said. He's like, oh, you're not the only Canuck in the room. I said, I know. Like, no. But we were chatting about both. He's a good guy, and and you're right in the middle of doing something and praying that something's gonna work, and this has got a set, and the chocolate's this and that.
Oh my
And he comes
God.
over with tell me about your life story. I'm like, oh, right now?
Yeah.
But that's what they want. They want to get you off your game a little bit.
They put you in a real, like, you can tell it's very
for
not
sure.
scripted, I feel, and that's what
No,
people
it's.
like, right?
I can tell you this, that it's 100% true. I was waiting for like do we have time? No, you don't have time to research this. This is what you need to do. The weakest link goes, and that's it. I mean, they're going to give you $25,000, so you got to bring your A game.
Damn.
That's what Mariah was saying. She was like,
gotta
how would
bring
they
your
know
A game.
these recipes? Like,
Well,
just without
like,
even
I
looking.
just-
Well,
like-
I mean, for me, for my strengths, it was kind of neat because once I was picked and I knew I was going, I think I had, I don't know, maybe six days, less than a week, right? And I was like, okay, so what are you going to do? Like, I don't know what I'm going to be told to do.
Yeah.
So I'm studying like a maniac. I got all my textbooks out on my kitchen table. I'm going, okay. Because most of baking and pastry is formulas. Like for ice cream, if you know how to make an ice cream base, you can make it into 72 different flavors.
There's too much math in it.
Yeah.
For
It's a
us.
science.
Yeah.
Baking
So-
is a science,
and
right?
there's-
Yeah.
I've done it enough where it's like, all right, I can see something and say like mathematically that it's got to be this much flour to hold this, to hold that. Now, are you going to get it bang on from memory? No, but you'll get it pretty close.
Yeah.
And I've done this for a while, so I was like, all right, you want a cookie? I can make you a cookie from memory. If I had the recipe, it's going to be better, but you just got to be better than that last person.
Oh,
Yeah, incredible.
God.
A question I have, just a
Yeah.
curiosity, like I always hear about people being on reality TV and then afterwards they miss it. Like, do you miss being on the show? Did you like the competition? Like, was it
Yeah.
something you probably haven't experienced anything like that. Like, you must
Yeah,
have enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. The friends, even though we were against each other, we made friends.
Oh yeah, we saw you guys like looking at each other's recipes, helping each other out.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, like I told them too, like I would help you. I said, I'll tell you what's going. Like if I see something, you still got to do it. Like the one girl was like, "What's wrong with my buttercream?" I'm like, it's too cold. You got to do this. This, and that. You got to do it. I'm not gonna do it for you and win you your money, but you still got to do it. So you weren't really going against the other person as you were. You're going against yourself.
Yeah.
So everybody had the same amount of time. Everybody had the same playing fields. The kitchens are absolutely identical. If you look closely on the set, they're all the same. Everybody has the same. Everybody has this. There's no advantage.
yeah.
I mean, the only advantage is maybe your experience or if you can do this particular thing better than the other person. But every challenge is different. So you might be great at cakes, and then tomorrow it's donuts, and then tomorrow it's this and it's that. So the girl that won, she's probably a better decorator than I am. So it's like, okay, she was quicker, and I'm like, great, you can have it. Like
You must have felt proud though at the end when they said your cake tasted amazing. Like,
yeah,
Carla
no,
Hall
that was
really
good.
loved it.
She loved it. Yeah.
Like,
She loved it. So
yeah.
the taste was good. I just kind of ran out of time, and it was like, and the same thing, like make a gnome and go, and I'm like, gnome.
Well,
I've never made a gnome before.
Exactly. And I mean,
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
think about, I even thought about this, like, I'm just curious, is there people that are vetted for the show that are at noticeable different strength levels, or do you feel like everybody's coming in and, maybe somebody has their own donut shop versus somebody who's worked commercially like yourself, traditionally in kitchens, or are you feeling like everybody's at the same strength level for the most part? I guess you're
yes
not really
and
watching.
no.
You're worried about yourself.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, yes and no. The first day or two, I didn't really know who was who, but then after a couple of days go by and you're like, what do you do for work? What do you do for work? What do you do? Everybody was very different. It's hard. You can't compare like apples to apples. Some people were better decorating. The one guy, Javier, him and I were similar, where with similar experience, and like he was lightning fast and he does plated desserts. And I'm like, okay. And some of the others were like, what's this? What's that? But they could figure it out very quickly. They've watched enough shows. They've read it in a book. Everybody was different. There was a few home bakers on there, and I was like, whoa. That's what Thomas said. Okay. From your skill level at a home baker, I mean, I would have guessed you were 5 to 10 years into your career. They're like, no, we just do this for fun. I'm like, whoa. But at the same time, if they go off and open up a shop or something, it's hard to do. You really got to be careful when you open up your own place. It's very, very expensive, and restaurants and pastry shops are going in and out constantly. It's not an easy game to win. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I just find that so interesting. Like, it just to speak for somebody who has been a trained professional, doing it for years, and then you kind of understand the ins and outs of not only the talent but the business side of things. And I think we wanted to ask you now, more importantly, about your own business, because obviously you've said you've had these career highs and you're doing lots of different stuff, working in different commercial kitchens. But Sweet Bella, how did you get into that? You got your beautiful hat on for your merch. We got to talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, once I got into SAIT and figured out how to become a teacher, I guess I'm still figuring it out. I kind of was missing something, and growing up in small retail bakeries as a dishwasher and, a master pastry chef took me under his wing for a few years and showed me these things. And and working in my buddy Danny's restaurant, I always had this itch for being a small business owner. But like I said, it's hard to pay a mortgage on it. It's hard to raise a family on it. It's hard. You can't get both. You really can't get both. So I thought for a long time, how am I going to get the best of both worlds, right? Get my nights, weekends, holidays off, and still kind of scratch this itch to be an entrepreneurial. So I said I got to come up with a product that is shelf stable, shippable, and something that I can kind of stop and start when I want to do it. I want to be in control.
Smart.
Right? So I was like, I can take the summer off and I can press pause in this business and or I can stock up and just kind of, I don't have to be there all the time. And I knew from running a bakeries, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there all the time. You got to open the store, you got to close the store. If someone calls in sick, you're there. If someone you're there.
You're your own.
Yeah.
Being your own boss doesn't
you
sound
got
as
waste,
great all of a sudden.
spoilage, theft. You got this, you got that. You got, I worked in nightclubs and bars, and you got to deal with the police. And it's like sometimes there's more headache involved. So I'm like, all right, we got to figure this out. So I came up with a solid chocolate bar, and the name Sweet Bella is sweet, and my wife's maiden name is Belle. So it's the Sweet Bella, Sweet Beautiful. Oh, so I came up with that. Yeah.
My heart.
Yeah, I know,
love.
right?
It's so nice.
And then we were like, well, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And so my wife drinks a bit of tea. I generally will drink coffee, but almost all of our bars have tea and chocolate together. Wow. So it's tea and chocolate. So we work with a Naked Leaf down in Kensington, another small shop. So we go there and we check out what kind of tea Jonathan's holding, and we got this in from Morocco, we got this in from here. Okay, what can we do? And we do a little taste panel with it. We find a couple winners, and then we go into production on them. So we make everything by hand. I got a commercial kitchen out in Springbank, and I hire some local kids, including my sons, when they want to show up, to try to get them in to show them what some hard work is. And we go to some markets and we hand wrap everything, and it's starting to grow. It's starting to mushroom out a little bit. We started off with one, so we sell our bars at retailers. So
you can get them here in Calgary.
You get them here in Calgary. We're in about 12 different locations right now.
Wow. You can shout them out, Kev. Go crazy if you know.
Please,
see if I can
we
remember. They're all on our website.
Promote whatever you want. The time is yours, man.
Yeah, sweetbella.ca will have all the retailers on there.
These are the sexy chocolate bars
we
were talking about.
And I brought some. You guys are going to give you some.
Oh,
so
you can pull them out. We got the cameras rolling. You might as well.
Yeah, do what you need to do.
So we got, usually we hold about 14 different bars.
Oh my god.
This is what Mariah was hoping for, Kevin. You've made her day.
Jeez.
So, and let's see.
So 14 different bars. Okay.
Yeah, so we carry milk, white, and dark. Okay.
Okay.
And
Oh my
show you just a couple of them, and then you guys can eat them up too.
You're dying.
And what they look like is like this. So we have a carrot orange one, and generally they'll pair up with something. So Brad Creek Distillers, they make their own booze out right up your alley, right?
Wow, yeah.
And Brad Creek, so they pair them up with that. We do a turmeric one, matcha raspberry. Every single one I try to make a little bit of a story behind. So I used to drink a lot of root beer floats growing up, so we made a root beer one out of that one. I brought a couple of extra ones. One we started to do off the show. So the very first episode, I wound up winning it with a Swiss roll cake.
Is
Yeah,
this the
yes.
Kevinly one?
Kevinly, yeah. So I came up with a chocolate bar called the Kevinly. It's a salted caramel and pretzel one.
Wow.
So that is like flying off the shelves this year. And then there's a whole bunch of them. So we try to do about 14 or 15 different flavors of them.
Oh my,
Oh my gosh, Kev, you're
You guys
too
gotta eat-
kind.
Earl Greys and
Holy.
Kashmiri chais and all kinds of fun stuff. So these are for you guys. You guys can try these ones.
I mean,
And-
like, if you ever need a very professional, unqualified taste tester,
You can always
sign
call
me
us.
up,
Pull you
man.
guys up. Okay.
Like, I'm
Well,
there.
it's funny thing you ask. So I've done it for a few years before COVID, and then COVID kind of slowed us down. Now we're back up and running again. And everybody was saying like, "Oh, I want to try them all. I want to try them all." And they're 50 grams. So by the time you get through, I mean, I could eat this all day, but you get through 3 or 4 of these, it's a lot of chocolate, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is I came up with this sample pack where we have all 14 flavors in there, and they're about 5 grams. So you get a bite and a half
Holy.
of each of them. So we started that this year, and they have just like, I couldn't keep these in stock. So in addition to our 10 or so different stores, 10 to 12 different stores throughout Calgary, we try to do a lot of markets. So I'll do markets, and we'll be selling these at markets. They're great for stocking stuffers, great for seasonal
yeah.
stuff. And now, usually it's slow, but it's picked right up. Like, usually we're quiet and we don't do much for Valentine's Day, but things are moving. I mean, chocolate, you got Valentine's Day, you got Mother's Day around the corner, you got Easter.
It never
so
ends
it's
your
starting
season.
to
Yeah.
pick up. We used to have some ups and downs in it, and it's doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited about it. And yeah, I mean, it's one of my projects I got on the go, and it's like, it's kind of neat. My younger guy, my 12-year-old Kai, he wants to be a chocolatier. He comes with me and makes the chocolate. He plays around in the shop with me. And then the older guy, he doesn't really want to do the chocolate, but he was he's like, Dad, we got to make something. We gotta do some. Let's do some merch. You know what I'm going? I said, Liam, we're making chocolate here. We're not, merch. And so my wife, she's unbelievably smart. She's got the MBA. She runs all the numbers. Any idea that I have, I've got to run it by her. Usually I get 1 out of 10 through, and I'll pick up this idea and run it. She's like, Dad, you're gonna be bankrupt. This is gonna cost you this. I'm like, okay. So I said, well, she's like, that the merch thing, you're gonna take a dive on it. And I'm like, well, fine. But I was like, we'll use it for promotion. And I was like, my son Liam really wants to do it. So in order to him to get into this business, I'm like, you're gonna run the merch department. So I gave him the graphics, and he worked with a couple of local. I was like, you got to find someone local here. So he gets on his phone and checks, and we found a shop that would do it. And what's the minimum run? What's the break-even point? What's this? What's that? I mean, it's not making any money, but it's a fun thing. He's counting. When I walked out of the house today, I was just like, Dad, did you pay for that? That's in my. I'm like, just. I paid for it, but he's actively engaged in this little project, right? And that's means more than money to me.
That's
Like,
priceless, right?
yeah,
He's
to
learning,
get other
right?
people and to kind of, because I believe in giving back. Somebody took me under their wing and showed me the way. I was young and probably a pain in the ass and wasn't listening, but somebody coached me along the way to get me to where I am. So as I get older, I have a bit more patience for that, and I kind of show them some different things. I mean, some of the ideas in the small business, they work, they don't work, but it's not there to pay the mortgage. It's more there of a passion kind of thing, and it does well, and hopefully I'll be able to sell it one day. Hopefully I'll be able to, when I'm done, when I retire, hand it off to somebody else and coach and counsel them on it and keep it going.
Sweet Bella chocolates.
Yeah,
you
like
guys gotta try these.
I'm smitten. I gotta tell you, I'm getting married this summer. And
Are you?
I got
Yeah.
10,000 gifts and things and
Oh,
stuff
wedding
to do
favors
for
and
people.
stuff, yeah.
So I'll be hitting you up for
Yeah.
sure, and personally myself as well. But yeah, I think you're incredible. Like, it's just interesting to even hear, Kevin, like about the business aspect
Yeah.
of it, because everybody thinks, because you work with sweets or desserts, it's
Yeah.
all fun and games, but I'm sure it's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of
Yeah.
learning and stuff. But I'm dying to try one of these.
Yeah,
I'm not
Kevin, we're
gonna
very
lie.
excited.
Like,
We've been chatting with you for 40 minutes.
I know.
Is that right?
I know you probably got to get, it's 7:16.
Okay.
Do you have to head out right away?
I got some time if you guys want to chit chat.
We
Any
were
other
gonna-
questions? Yeah.
We were going to try your chocolate, maybe.
Try?
Yeah.
And
We'll get it on camera.
Get it on camera because we do a review of the week every podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we'll give you chocolates.
Yeah,
High
yeah.
marks for sure. We're going to be excited, but I think that'd be a great review.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's flip these cameras,
we'll take
pick
a break,
chocolate,
and we'll pick a chocolate,
we'll be
yeah.
good.
Sounds good.
Mariah and Ty's Hall of Fame.
All right, now it's time for Mariah and Ty's Hall of Fame. And Mariah, guess what? The pocket dog won from the Flames.
Okay, so back to our better programming
Yeah.
that we have today. Okay, Kevin, you spoiled us obviously by bringing on your new
Yeah.
passion project, your business, Sweet Bella Chocolates. You brought way more than we needed. I will not waste any of those,
Yeah,
though.
you
You
are
never
a-
have enough
a
chocolate.
treat.
Yeah.
God, I wanted to ask you before we dive into them because
Sure.
we selected a few pieces to try here. I got a lavender dark chocolate.
Okay.
Ty, what do you got?
I got the root beer, the one you were talking about, Kevin. I like the
Beautiful.
dark chocolate, so I'm
Yeah.
excited.
We need to know
Sure.
where you or where you source a lot of your ingredients, your
Yeah.
products from, and you should tell about how you hand wrap these damn
Yeah,
things.
so we hand
like,
make them and hand wrap them in a commercial kitchen on Springbank. I get my chocolate from a variety of different places depending on what I'm looking for, if it's nutty or if it's got to be bland or sugar and this and that. So it's kind of a mix from all different places, all chocolate that's couverture chocolate, so it's got the true fat in there. It's got cocoa butter in there. It's really, really clean.
Wow.
And then I'll get my tea from the Naked Leaf in Kensington. The outer wrapper comes from a print shop locally here in Calgary.
Wow.
The silver
Okay.
comes from Calgary as well too. Even the glue comes from Staples. So I try to keep it in
Jesus.
here, right? So
You're ethically working
yeah, well,
hard,
that's
yeah.
the plan. So when you buy a sweet chocolate bar, in theory, you support all these other businesses as well, you know. So you've got the root beer one. So I used to drink a lot of root beer floats as a kid. So I kind of was going for that. And
That's
then
fantastic.
it's a neat one, huh?
Jesus.
It's
And-
fantastic.
It's cool, right? Yeah, it's
I
something
am
a little
just
different.
like, I'm smelling this and I almost feel bad for eating it because it's so beautiful and I don't want to wreck the package.
A 10 out of 10, Kevin.
10 out of 10.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. I got to say, after watching the Holiday Baking Championship, you've turned my apartment into a baking mess. Like, my girlfriend
That's awesome.
is now shouting at me, like, when she's baking her brownies,
Yeah.
like, put it in the blast chiller.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just outside on the patios here in
That's right.
Calgary.
Yeah, you have one of those. Yep.
Holy shit,
So,
this is good.
It's just been a treat. Like, that tastes just like root beer. This is incredible. And while we have you here, you've been promoting your own stuff. Do you have any friends in Calgary in the industry you want to shout out? Any places you like? Like, what's your favorite
Spots
place
you like to go?
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite place for a pastry that you haven't made here in Calgary? Do you have one?
I haven't made here in
You're
Calgary.
like, everybody's inferior to me.
No,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
There's.
It doesn't have to be pastry related. You could have a favorite restaurant because I'm sure you know quite a bit.
Yeah, I like. It depends. I dine two different ways. One is with my kids. So anywhere they'll let a 12 or 14-year-old go. I like a lot of sports places. So 722 up on 85th Street is awesome. Places where we can watch the game. We go down to the Flames a lot. And then when I go out with my wife, or adult friends, we like to go downtown to different restaurants. You know, Model Milk is one of my favorite ones. They do a great job there.
Across the street there.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal place.
There's different places popping up all the time. You know, I do kind of in the winter, not so much. But summertime, I love, like, one of my things I love to do is go around and eat ice cream. So
Oh, yeah.
I'll go to Village Ice Cream, Marcus Ice Cream, love him. All these different cool ice cream shops that are popping up, these little gelato places. It reminds me of Europe and going to, like, lazy days in Italy and stuff. So I really like the ice cream scene here too. In the summer, it's really, really cool. Some of my best things to eat are the things that I don't have to make. Everybody comes to my house, they're like, oh my God, you're a pastry chef, I'm so nervous. I brought a chocolate cake. I'm like, listen, this thing is even better because I didn't have to make it. You brought it here and we can hang out and we can talk and we can drink wine. It's the meal and the food and the wine and everything. Sometimes it's about who you're sharing it with.
Yeah.
What time of the day it is, what's going on, how hungry you are, how tired you are. There's a lot of other things involved, I think. So I don't think I've ever had a bad meal. I mean, even
Calgary's
it's,
got great spots.
oh, it's
That's
incredible. And it's growing. I mean, I've been
fresh.
here about 17 years from New York now, and I think every year just gets better. The university district up there is exploding right now.
Yes.
It's incredible. I've been up there a couple of times. So there's all these pockets of development. more people coming from all over the world, I think, not just Canada, but all over the world, bringing cool things and ideas. You could get some great food here. I'm pleasantly surprised every year by year. It's pretty cool.
That's very,
really cool, yeah.
very awesome and so positive. Like,
Yeah.
you just have ignited positivity in our podcast because you just have a fresh take and really good outlook on everything. I think that's cool to hear from a professional
Yeah.
say there's so many great places to try in Calgary, right?
There's lots.
Yes. Pastry chef Kevin Conniff
Holy.
talking about Calgary's culinary scene. Your chocolates were incredible. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Thanks,
Sweet
guys.
fella.
I can't
Appreciate
stop
it.
That's the
eating
sexy
this.
chocolate we were waiting for. Like,
Yeah.
show,
Well, we
show the
talked-
bar
There
in
you
the
go.
camera.
We talk sexy donuts.
Sexy donuts, I heard that one. Yeah.
And I said, like, these are the sexiest
Sexy
chocolates
chocolates,
out
there you go.
there. God, they're delicious and amazing. And please, like you said, you're supporting however many different local businesses when you go and you try these. So get them. You know, they're amazing. Kevin, you're amazing. Thank you
we
for
could
coming on.
talk to you for hours about Holiday
like I
Baking
said,
Championship, the
you're
scene.
our first podcast guest that doesn't work here that we brought on. So you really set the bar quite high for
Awesome.
who we want to bring on. But
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Anything
no
you want
problem.
to shout out that you didn't get out?
No, I think we're good. SAIT's been a great sponsor of me and the small business that I have too. Sweetbella.ca. All the info's on there. We'll have all the links to all the stores and all the markets that are coming up. So check us out.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Goodbye, everybody.
You've been listening to X After Hours podcast with Mariah and Ty.
You want more? Then tune into X Afternoons with these two live on Calgary's alternative X92.9 Monday through Friday 2 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time at x929.ca.
And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and have the new episode of X After Hours downloaded weekly to whatever device you use.